Can you believe that such a view exists right off the highway? I couldn't either. True solitude is when you can hear everything and nothing at the same time. You know, I've climbed mountains before, but this is a view unparalleled. I've made a lot of decisions in my life that have been quite questionable, no doubt. Decisions that many years ago I would have thought completely out of the question, ridiculous, inane. But things change. People grow older. Time progresses forward. Experiences are what shape our perspectives about things. They are what inform our decisions, of course. My experience, for example, traveling, has allowed me to realize that anything is possible. And it is this experience that has led me here today, literally in the middle of nowhere. I am here, though, because I have this compulsion to have a conversation. A compulsion that is difficult for me to fight at this point because it is a topic that I have thought a lot about recently. And I thought that it would be most fitting to create this short dialogue to reflect on this idea. If change is simply defined by an alteration of our perspective, of our experience, of our mindset, or something thereof, then how can that subjectivity be awarded any degree of merit? 1 year ago today, I was in New Zealand climbing some mountain. And while that was a fun experience, I didn't quite anticipate exactly how much that it would change my perception. That is to say, that climbing the mountain taught me something very valuable about life experience. It is that oftentimes, what you anticipate about a certain event or thing is very different from how it actually is. And that's what I learned. And that's what I continue to learn through all the things that I experience in life. What's interesting is that fear and curiosity are the two biggest things that motivate us, right? And they couldn't be more intertwined. You might be fearful of what could happen, but at the same time, you're equally curious as to whether or not that anticipation that you've created is accurate. And so it's interesting to think about how those two things can work together to shape your experience. When I climbed the mountain, for example, I think I grew a little bit fearful that since July is in the middle of New Zealand's winter, the experience was going to be a little bit harsh, cold. Maybe I would get hypothermia or something like that. Turns out it was rather cold, and in fact, it was a little bit worse from what I anticipated, in the sense that it was actually snowing and we had winds up to 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. But that's what made the experience all the more exciting and exhilarating, is that I didn't anticipate any of that necessarily, right? But how would that have changed my decision even if I did? No way to know. And the reason there's no way to know is because it's already happened. We live in a very connected world. And right now, one of the principal things that motivates me is a desire to take some time away from that, to get away from that. And so I think about, well, what resources do I have at my disposal that will allow me to do so? And how can I achieve that reality in a manner that is appropriate and economical? And so I have found that this week. I'm on my way to Pennsylvania, is the reason that I'm here. From Atlanta, and I'm going to Pennsylvania for a week to spend some time completely off the grid, in the hopes that it will humble my lifestyle quite a bit, because I have gotten so used to this connected lifestyle, especially a lifestyle that we have been cultured to accept as normal and as desirable, right? That we can forget all of the things that we are taking advantage of. It's just a little bit disheartening to think about that. And so that's why I want to be able to take some time to step back to step back and to really appreciate the world around us and to observe it. And, think about my life from a more metaphysical point of view, right? Being able to step outside my thinking to think about my thinking. It's part of the reason I'm making this video is this video is a way for me to synthesize my mode of thinking. Because, in order to understand the decisions that we make, we have to be able to step outside of the realm of our thinking in order to fully analyze exactly how we are thinking and what that can mean. Two of the pieces of advice that I would give, therefore, are to understand that separation between anticipation and expectation, and also to understand that fear and curiosity that you can use fear and curiosity together to make a more worthwhile experience. Because if you allow fear to dominate your motivation, then you're not going to receive fulfillment. You're not going to receive joy from whatever it is that you're going to embark on. A little bit of fear is good. A little bit of fear is good because that means that's a sign that you are stepping outside of your comfort zone, which is good, because what happens is when you step outside of that, you expand it. A little bit of fear is good. What's not good is when you allow too much fear to overpower your curiosity. When that happens, you need to take a step back. If your comfort zone's here, too much fear might mean you're going way outside, way more outside than you should. When you expand your comfort zone, you need to do it by steps, right? You need to look at your comfort zone and take one step outside, expand it, and then take another step outside, and so on and so forth. You can't go from steps 1 to 10 like that. And if you can, that's great. From my experience, most people cannot. And so you have to be cognizant of your abilities from a psychological standpoint. You have to be able to synthesize what it is that you can do and accomplish, so that you can stop saying things will change and instead say things change.